And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the PEO Speedwagon podcast. And we've got a super exciting show today because we've got a really exciting guest. I got to talk a little bit before the show. This person, you know, PEOMG and PEO Speedwagon are based out of the Midwest in St. Louis. Our guest is not from St. Louis, but he did share with me he knows some things about St. Louis. One unique thing, which is the fact that we always ask each other where we went to high school versus where we went to college or somewhere else. But I'm excited to learn more about John than the fact that he knows that unique aspect of St. Louis. So John Belle, CRO of Justworks, is joining us. And today we're going to get into John's background, how he got into this world of PEO and everything else in between. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, my man. It was a balmy St. Louis day yesterday, and now it was met with another, St. Louis fact that is, if you don't like the weather, just wait an hour, it'll change. So now we're down to like in the, low 40s. It's quite lovely.
Good to hear. I'm actually coming to you from our New York City offices where it's less lovely, but it will be again someday, I'm told.
Right. What's better than spring in New York?
I'll find out.
Yeah.
We just moved here not so long ago. Yeah.
So where are you from? So where are you originally?
Well, originally from Cincinnati. In your intro, you talked about St. Louis, and I know a lot of people from St. Louis, which is why I know the question.
Yeah.
But we came here to from Dallas rather after 10 years in Texas.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah.
So Justworks dragged you out of Texas and got you up to New York. Very different setup. So tell me how. Let's just learn about you, your story, and how you got to be at Justworks.
Yeah. I am a 30-something year veteran of tech and tech commercial sales and leadership. And the most recent run was with PayPal. I was in charge of the global small business sales as well as the North America enterprise sales, and then left PayPal. And was very interested by and attracted by the Justworks mission and the Justworks story. I was not looking to relocate from Dallas to New York, but it is such a compelling company, such a compelling story that my family and I actually did. We made that decision to come up here. So we'll have been here now for about 9 months.
There you go. So you got to do Christmas in New York.
We did Christmas. Yeah, we did the snowfalls. For those of you familiar with the Northeast weather this year, we got the full exposure.
That's right. That's what everything Justworks sold you on. You're going to get like right away.
Well, I did joke that none of the snow was in the Chamber of Commerce brochures that they handed out before I agreed to this. But yeah, it's been a good run so far.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what was it that drew you to Justworks? Because I was looking at your background. Obviously, I do prep and saw that most of your life had been in tech. And obviously, from my vantage point, the clients that we have a number of clients on Justworks. It's a very tech-forward PEO, which is really needed and really powerful. But I'd love to hear what it was about Justworks and that story that compelled you.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of companies in any market of any size, of any caliber that is as committed to their customer as I found Justworks to be in my discovery process. I mean, we're fanatically dedicated to small businesses. And in my career, no one has ever been more grateful for the work that I do than small businesses. 90% of small businesses need external help in order to become what they and their founders want them to be. And the ability to provide that and be just so focused on it was really impressive to me. And then the fact that the company is wrapped all of that offering in an unbelievable service capability that rivals it, that doesn't even exceed enterprise sized companies, treating small businesses big, was really, really interesting to me. And I think not only does it differentiate us, I think it makes for a better small business experience.
Hmm. And you said the word really many times in that, which is the heart of why PEO exists, is to support small businesses. It's it sounds like that was a focus, obviously, at your last, role within uh, PayPal. Talk to me about your small business exposure. Maybe if there's a passion behind it, what you can impart on people who obviously small businesses listen to this podcast because they're trying to understand PEO, but I don't know that they always understand how people feel about them through these
Mm,
relationships.
mm. Well, I mean, look, no, as I said, nobody's ever been more grateful than small business owners for bringing the sorts of capabilities to them that I've had the good fortune to lead teams to bring. The thing about owning and operating a small business is you typically don't always know the right questions to ask.
Mhm,
It's not that you are looking for a particular answer, it's that you're trying to define your problem and you don't have a dozen people who are on your side, right? You have your network. You might have investors, you might not. You certainly have friends and family, and that only gets you so far. And so the idea that you can have access to a company that does all of that sort of consultative work and packages it up in ways that are consumable for small business owners, to me, that feels very gratifying.
mhm,
It also helps me when I contextualize what small business owners do is this sort of magic act. They
mhm,
create jobs. They create jobs and communities out of nothing more than their ambition. And when that happens in a community, that community becomes stronger. The strength of that community drives
mhm.
even more benefit for those both in the community and around the community. And I just think that that sort of dynamic, that sort of ongoing evolution of what happens when you start small businesses in communities makes the best possible outcomes.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, like your world has been spent in tech. When I was looking at your background, it was not in PEO. Even with this affinity and appreciation for small businesses, it hadn't come from PEO. So tell me about your PEO journey, because were you familiar with it before Justworks started knock on the door? Is it something you'd come across, like what we like to call like PEO aware, but not like PEO active? Like, tell me about your journey of coming into this industry in particular.
I didn't know much at all.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I got hired, I think, primarily because I saw an opportunity for us as a company to begin operating at a gear or 3 beyond where we had been,
Hmm.
without losing sight of the specialness of the company and the need to focus on our small business customers. Um, I was fascinated by the business model. I thought that the notion of co-employment, I thought that the notion of wrapping that in sort of a consultative approach made all the sense in the world. And when I started to look at the economics of what we were able to provide for our customers, that was really, really interesting to me. That's a sort of, I would classify that as game changing ability for a small business
Hmm.
owner or operator to access these sorts of economics with this sort of mindful capabilities. So that was really super interesting to me. I mean, when you think about it, these large enterprises, they've got entire departments, right? HR, payroll, benefits, but small businesses are juggling all of this stuff on a team of what, a few?
Hmm.
And so when I saw that our approach was to give them access to these enterprise caliber tools, when I saw that what was making us different was that we were built exclusively for them, you know, that was attractive to me. I was especially hooked when I was talking to some customers in my preparation to get an offer. And
Hmm.
they said, what I liked is I needed this figured out the day before I called, and they were ready with an answer when I reached out to them. They knew what was going to be happening. They understood my context, and you just don't get that for a small business a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. It's super. I think there's that like saying like with uh if you're a golfer that you'll identify with this. I'm not much of one, but like one shot kind of keeps you in the round or in the game. You make one good shot. Um and that keeps you going. And I think that it's that kind of conversation, like when you connect with a small business and you have this solution that they may not have been aware of, and you go, "This is the thing that like I'm struggling with enormously,"
Yeah.
and something I think business owners feel this enormous weight of going, this is really important to my employees, like how I support them, how I take care of them, how I run my organization, employer choice, but I'm not equipped to do this. And so I'm already feeling some layers of failure or imposter syndrome of being a good employer, and the reality is that the fact you can help them in not less necessarily one fell swoop, but pretty quickly in terms of giving them the support. I feel like that lights you up, kind of like actually hitting the ball once.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
no, I'm still looking for that one shot on the golf course, but
right.
I feel it. I feel it when we hear from and I talk to customers. We had a customer, a CEO. She started her own business, and she said, the problems I'm dealing with running this business are probably not significantly different than when I was working for the company I was working for. The difference is that the fires I have to put out are all now in my kitchen.
Hmm.
And that sense of ownership and that sense of, oh my gosh, there's a bigger responsibility here than my just solving a problem. I've got to make sure that this is fireproofed for my employees. I think is super interesting. And as I said a minute ago, I think that the benefit of talking to companies in the sector that we're operating in, PEOs, is that you should be able to not just get an answer. You should be able to have a conversation about, okay, well, if I thought about this, then I'm solving for that. What's the next thing? What's the thing after that? What's the thing after that?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because that list is ever growing and it's ever changing, and so the fact that you can sort of help them
Yeah.
take things off that list also allows them to move on to second level or tertiary level issues that are supremely important. They just don't get the time for them.
Huge point. The biggest problem that all of these small business owners and operators have is time.
Mhm.
They're just drowning in admin work, and that is not what they went into business for. The second is, how do I get competitive benefits?
Mhm.
How do I then attract and retain talent? Because I can offer something that's as good as, if not better than they're going to see somewhere else from a company who might be like mine. And then, you get into, and I'm sure your audience knows this, I'd love somebody to help me understand compliance and shift risk wherever that
Mhm.
wherever that's practical. And then last but not least, I want to be able to stand in front of my customer, my employees rather, and have confidence that what I'm delivering is the best that I can possibly deliver.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's showing up for your people and solving issues of your time and risk. I mean, that is what's interesting about PEO. Now, one thing I wanna look at is, like, this was new to you. You're coming in from outside, you're learning it, which I think is one of the really wonderful things PEO has to access is, it's now a 40 some odd year industry, but bringing new people into it because of the way it's grown, it's prospered, it's accessing talent, people like yourselves, bringing in with really no historical perspective on it. So I'm curious, like, coming in with fresh eyes, on this and maybe Justworks or PEO at large, like, what did you notice? Like, what are things that you saw not only as opportunities, but,
Mm,
chances to enhance that existent that experience for a customer?
yeah. Boy, that is an excellent question. In my mind, the response sort of is in two areas.
Mhm.
The first one is that there is in the risk and underwriting process, there's a tremendous amount of, whether it's carrier bred complexity, whether it's PEO bred complexity, or whether it's just market complexity. There's this tremendous amount of complexity that
Right.
you really do need to act as both an interpreter for your customer, but you also have to do it with speed and with real clarity as to the why the certain decisions get made. And quite frankly, I think the whole industry is a little opaque on that.
Mhm.
I think the first thing I notice is we have an opportunity to move much more rapidly on things like getting towards instant quoting
Mhm.
and having clarity for our prospects and our customers on to why it looks like that. And then surrounding all of that with sort of like an expanded value proposition, as opposed to just, oh, think about PEO. Would you like help doing hiring outside the United States, or would you like help crafting an HR handbook? Maybe that's the first time that you need to do that. So I saw all of this opportunity to both be more comprehensive and to move much more swiftly in our decisioning and our actioning. Um, all of that is to say also that like we've worked with carriers, I think, to figure out the right way to contextualize information for these customers. And that's been a real help. The second thing I think I saw, and I saw this fairly quickly, is when we talk about partnerships, when we talk about going to market using accountants or brokers or any third party, really, was I saw this tremendous opportunity for us to do a much better job aligning with and creating mutual value for the customer and for those channels, which I think, frankly, the market in general is inconsistent in addressing. And I think that creating a set of standards there, undergirding that with a great program and putting new technology out there so the partners can really participate in the sales process seemed like something that was a big deal. And we're working on that now.
Mhm. Yeah, no, what I heard you say, which I think is probably the biggest opportunity that you're talking about for the customer experience, the way the PEO is organized across all 500 plus out there. Who knows how many at this point? I guess I probably should know, but I don't. Is is speed and transparency, right? Speed addresses time. And I think a customer comes into a PEO evaluation process, and regardless of the PEO, and it slows down in this underwriting. There's an enthusiasm, there's an excitement when they leave the call with one of your many reps that they're excited about. And it's necessary, but it does get bogged down in that underwriting window, and
Yeah,
then that enthusiasm and interest is lost, and we're talking about earlier, the fact that time is their most precious asset, and, like, in some ways, they feel like they're losing time. It's compounded because they're not getting closer to getting their issue addressed that they were already excited about, perhaps Justworks or some other PEO resolving for them.
yeah,
And then also kind of thematically, like, those partners are really valuable because I always felt that trust is an accelerant for growth. It expedites that process. And so if you're able to collaborate with that partner, whether it's a broker, whether it's a CPA, whether it's, some other trust, someone in their ecosystem, like you're expediting that trust process to get to know who
yeah.
just works and how you approach it.
I couldn't agree more. Nothing good happens in this vacuum of information between the time you get off the phone call and you're jazzed and the
Hmm.
time that you get some sort of response back from risk and underwriting through that
Right.
same sales team. Yeah, nothing good happens. The longer that period lasts, the less good it is for everybody, especially the customer, because in the absence of any real insight, you're like, I wonder if did I say the wrong thing? Is this even going to work? Do I even really need to do this? It's been a whole
Hmm.
week.
Hmm. Yeah. Or even the worst thing, then they say, oh, yeah, also we started talking to ADP or Ripple
Yeah.
or somebody else, or insert whomever. So
Well,
it's that's
I,
also demoralizing.
I'm a CRO, so I will tell you, time kills deals.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It absolutely does. And I think it's made worse. And the different sales I've done, and now I've spent 20 years in the world of PEO, so my other scenarios are getting lesser and lesser. In contrast, it's all the same. But just because that natural complexity, but desire to fix
Yeah,
what's going on that's driving this PEO decision,
yeah,
I think just exacerbates like how what slowing down feels like to a
yeah,
customer.
yeah, that's right.
So how many salespeople roll up to you now, John? Like, how do you manage all that? And just talk to me about like what you're looking to do with the sales organization at JustWorks, because it is a really wonderful one from all our experiences.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I've got all customer-facing, teams in my organization, so that means, all of my salespeople, I have all of the customer success organization. Fronting all of that, I have the sales development office as well as our sales specialists. And altogether, that's closer to 700 people,
Mhm.
coast to coast. We operate primarily out of New York, Tampa, and now we're all opening our West Coast office in Phoenix. So that's very exciting news for
Mhm.
us. Being able to represent out west more effectively, setting up a customer and partner showcase is part of that. Uh, my organization is not only national, but it's now international because we've got the ability to do EOR, the employer of record deal, where you can hire outside the United States, and so I've got a sales team that deals with that as well. And then, in terms of the lessons learned, I mean, I think all of the things that you expect to see in a fast growing, very dynamic, multi-threaded sales organization are inherent at Justworks. The good news, frankly, is, and I think this is true across our sector, the advent of things like AI and the retooling of our back office are allowing us to go much, much faster. I think expectations of our customers have risen dramatically in terms of what you can do and how fast you can do it. And I think our responsibility in the PEO sector, and certainly at JustWorks, I think, is to find ways to embed these capabilities so that we're really keeping up with and then continuing to exceed those customer expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't be more right. I've used this analogy. I will leave the PEO out of it, but when you look at the technology, you look at the mobile interface, the way that a lot of worksite employees engage with their
Mhm,
PEO relationships.
mhm,
I was struggling with one. And I'm like, listen, my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter at the time has better apps on her phone than this mobile application. So I think, it's certainly something I've seen is JustWorks has been at the bleeding edge, a lot of the technology to be able to support employees. Where do you guys figure that out? Like there's so many things an organization can deploy resources towards to enhance technology, but how do you get feedback? How do you understand what's most important? How do you guys make those decisions?
Yeah, that's an ongoing, ever on sort of conversation, quite frankly. And just to link back to the other question you asked, as I thought about JustWorks, I was incredibly impressed
Mhm.
caliber of product developer, of product engineer, and the thoughtfulness that was going into our product. And I actually have said this to the entire company at all hands. I found JustWorks product to be a love letter to small businesses. There is this really, really hard to find and very dynamic thing going on at JustWorks all the time. We constantly capture customer feedback, might be gong recordings, it might be other means that all gets synthesized down to the critical few things that just keep coming up as needs for our customers. And then the product team and the PMM organization go and they architect the
Mhm.
solutions that allow us to like close those gaps. And I tell you the critical thing, and again, super impressed by this, doesn't exist because of me. It clearly existed before I got here, is that there's this closed loop then that goes back to our customer success and our customer service organizations so that when we do make adjustments in the product, our people who are on the front lines talking to our customers see, understand, and can communicate that in ways that close those loops with customers in ready fashion. It is amazing what I'm seeing here, and I'm just super impressed by it. I think AI lets us get faster. I think the culling of information lets us get a lot both quicker at this, but also allows us to synthesize all this information faster. My view is that we must never let the AI, though, be the thing that talks to the customers. The customer might want to opt for a faster answer if they want AI. That's okay. But when we do all this stuff back with AI, it's meant to liberate those people that I just described, the sellers, the customer success people, the specialists, liberate them from all that hands-on keyboard stuff so that they can go talk to customers and be even more consultative. And that's where I see this whole thing going.
Yeah. It's been interesting because I was recently having a conversation with somebody on a different podcast about AI and its involvement in HR and was it going to take over and the answer was naturally it was going to take over some processes that were largely inefficient, but like did require a lot of manual work. But what I saw was a byproduct of that was going to be HR service people,
Mhm.
customer service people, salespeople being able to spend more time with their customers
Yeah,
because they weren't bogged down by these legacy processes
yeah,
and workflows and
yeah.
everything else that now could largely be remedied by AI. And I think the natural inclination for a consumer, business owner, or just somebody who's not is intertwined into how PEO works is thinking now people are just going to get outsourced by AI. And the reality is they're going to be empowered because they're going to get that again, that theme so far of this conversation, time back.
That's exactly you couldn't be more right. Our view, quite frankly, and we're seeing this occur almost every day, is that small businesses are able to do more themselves thanks to AI than they would have otherwise done. But their expectations of what they're going to get from their providers, be they PEO or otherwise, has also risen. And so if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat. And the other element of that is, look, it used to be that you were more valuable than me because you knew something that I didn't. Maybe you understood the state of Washington's state unemployment insurance practices better than I do. All of that knowledge is pretty much going to be commoditized real fast. I can go hoover it up. You can go hoover it up.
Mhm.
They'll all go into the same information trough, and we'll be able to pull from that insight and distribute it to our salespeople or our customer success people, and ultimately to our customer. The knowledge is going to become somewhat commoditized.
Mhm.
But what's differentiating? If you're a customer considering a PEO, you should ask, how are you going to make sure that I'm getting a higher quality of service than I could get by just having Claude or ChatGPT give me the information to state unemployment insurance in the state of Washington? That's where you've got to be thinking.
Yeah. 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 And it's interesting too, because AI is putting more of a spotlight on that. And I think it pressure tests the true value of PEO, because you're right. We could go get this, and you could go get this before from Google, like, or somewhere else before AI, was really like large language models exist or were accessible. But the real value of PEO is that whatever you're dealing with, we at JustWorks or we at whatever other PEO, we've have service teams that have dealt with this in real life 1,000 times over. Like, it is not theoretical, it is not data, it is application of a really difficult HR situation, whether it's a termination or some sort of discriminatory behavior. Like, these things are actually tested in real life situations, like precedent, case study more than just like what the SHRM handbook says are the best practices, which is really valuable. I'm not dismissing that. But what happens in real life is ultimately more indicative of like how it feels in a small business for a small medium-sized business owner. And so the fact that not only now are you able to access more time to go do that, but two, it just highlights how important that real human experience is, because whatever happens with your company and your employee happens in real life. It doesn't happen between AI.
Exactly.
So there's all these really wonderful things going on at JustWorks. When I came into the world I'm in now, outside of this podcast, which is PEO brokerage, everybody comes in with opinions, biases towards different PEOs. You have some towards Insperity and some towards ADP and some towards JustWorks. Like, what are the things that you would say are different about JustWorks than either that people believe, like at large, like our listenership, or just even from your own biases coming in? What have you been able to uncover that just isn't the case?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, great question. And be careful. Never ask a CRO
Mhm.
how he differentiates in the marketplace,
Mhm.
because he'll
Mhm.
tell you.
Oh, I want the answer. Yeah. It's going to help our explanation. That's what that.
Look, I think there's a lot of different business models in our category, and there's a lot of different organizations that have taken different approaches to how they go to market. I will tell you, for JustWorks, I think we do stand somewhat alone in our business model. So the first is that we really are a tech forward
Mhm.
company. We make our money on our PEPM, our per employee per month charge. We do not monetize healthcare insurance. We don't upcharge on it. We're not an insurance company. And so when we come up for renewals, you're never paying for our premium on top of your renewal. And
Mhm.
that gives us, I think, an advantage in the marketplace. I think a second thing that makes our model different, and I was very attracted to this at the time, is we have taken upon ourselves to build out benefits optionality. We're not just tied to a single plan, a single master plan. We can bring multiple types of plan based on who you as a small business customer are, what your needs are, and we can show you all of those so that you can make informed choices, as opposed to just here's the plan.
Mhm.
And as a result of that, I think, and this is truly unique in our sector, we don't require contracts. I have to win and keep your business, which is not the easiest way to go about this. It'd be a lot easier to sign contracts for 3 years, but we don't do that. And the reason we don't do that is because you're always going to get an opportunity to review our performance and our value proposition at least once a year, and really more often than that. but it really doesn't seem to hurt us because the average customer is with us for 8 years, because we have a fantastic lifetime value to CAC ratio. Customers value what we provide and the manner in which we provide it. And so I don't have to force people into contracts, which I think is an amazing point for small businesses who are literally living quarter to quarter in some cases, certainly year to year. And they want to know and understand with some level of predictability that they're not going to be locked in to what is eventually potentially a disfavorable arrangement. I don't think the industry in general thinks that way. I think that there's a perception that you really want to be in contract and that you want your customers in contract. And I think that combined with some of those other factors causes potentially some friction with your customers, which we don't believe that we want or certainly don't have.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd say there are some that have the 30-day evergreen thing, but there's not many anymore. And I think that that speaks a lot to small businesses because not only one, you're for the reasons you described, the way it binds them, but two, it's kind of putting your money where your mouth is, or at least your service where your money is. And I think that speaks to just kind of how small businesses are approaching every single day. Is like, hey, we're having to grind every day here to sometimes make payroll, sometimes grow our business, and so you kind of mirror and match that. I also personally love it, and you, as far as I know, you're the only people who does this that just has the price on the website. It's
Yeah.
very unique. It runs so counter to this unfortunate thing that PEO has made for itself, which is like shell games or shadow games, in terms of how price is actually organized. You guys are super straightforward. And when we do have customers that are good fits for Justworks, like we can point to that and go, like, you don't even have to get it from us. You could just go right to the website. Like now there's um and I think that that speaks to this kind of world, this SaaS world, but like SaaS HR tech, kind of way that people are used to buying now. I find that that jives with people. There's a good vibe there when we start talking about how JustWorks kind of approaches things.
I appreciate that you said that. We find ourselves remarkably easy to explain when we talk to small business buyers. Remarkably easy to explain.
Mhm. Yeah. And, what I also the other thing that I've explained to customers, and this is with the other PEOs that do it this way, is that they're putting, there's risk. You carry it as a small business, but the PEO is taking it because they're offering you 12 months, 10 months of health insurance rates, like underwriting here, but they're only binding you to about a 30-day window here. So like they're kind of tipping that, yes, there is this feeling that you're kind of outnumbered. It's small business and a bigger organization like David and Goliath thing. But like, listen, they're actually, structuring their agreement where it's more in your favor than theirs because, you're getting pricing for X amount of time and you're only bound to them by 30 days or so. Now, we know it's not that easy to unwind that quickly and it's painful enough to do that. But I think that helps organizations go like, okay, these are people we can trust. There's evidence of that early versus sometimes other scenarios we encounter.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly different models out there. No matter what model a small business owner chooses, like they need high levels of trust and confidence.
Mhm,
Yeah, I mean, the buying decision that I've learned happens with PEO is analogous to tech buying decisions a
mhm,
lot, but not exclusively analogous. A lot of this is what can I manage to afford for my employees. A lot of it is how comfortable am I with that particular price point and combined with that offering. So there's a whole lot of back of the napkin math that I see going on. And quite frankly, sometimes that math is right and sometimes that math is wrong. If you're locked into a 3-year contract and you've gotten it wrong, that could be a problem.
yeah. So, we're now expanding out west. I say we, just works. Uh, um, what's on the horizon for this sales organization? What are you most excited about? What are your people kinda most excited about? I think because that's what rolls downhill to customers. They feel that passion and excitement about your solution for them.
Yeah. We've always been out west. I just haven't had a building,
Right.
and so now we're going to put a nice building out
Yeah.
in Arizona. It'll feature a really cool space for customers, so they don't have to come all the way from California, say, to New York to experience the showcase and talk to our execs. We'll actually have a presence farther out west. So very much looking forward to that. Look, I touched on a couple of these things a few minutes ago. So the first is I'm super excited the way the technology is not only going to speed my team's ability to execute, but it's going to enhance our offering. To your point about price transparency, we've put all of the numbers out on the website. There's no question, but now we want to pack as much value into those numbers as we can. And so the faster I can develop capabilities, and we've got a bunch of really cool stuff shipping in our upcoming fiscal year, which starts in June, we pack it full of value that you're not going to get anywhere else. It continues to differentiate us in the marketplace. It gives my people a great story to tell. It gives customers confidence that they're not going to end up being, you know, sort of given a new tab every time that the new capabilities come around. So that's something I'm super excited about. I think the other thing that the advent of some of this tech is going to allow us to do is I already kind of talked to this, but move much more transparently and swiftly through the otherwise somewhat onerous risk and underwriting process. I mean, I think we've got this thing down pretty well, but the degree to which it can be done more faster would be a big win for our customers. And then I'd say the third thing is we've just brought on new heads of partnerships and alliances here. And so, what I'm super excited about is the upcoming reformatting of our entire partner program in a way that's much more lucrative for partners, that's much more consequential for partners, and which gives them the ability to be rewarded both for consistency and for volume at the same time. And I think this is a maturation of our go-to-market that's been a long time coming. I'm really excited when this rolls out later this calendar year, and I'm super pleased with the team that we've put in place over the last year to begin building and launching this. I mean, the last note on this is if you are a JustWorks partner now, you're going to get a whole new way for you to see your business with us, which is much more insightful, which allows you to feel not just better about the partnership, but run that part of your business more effectively. So a lot coming on the partner side.
Yeah. It's all time, speed of the deal, transparency, partnership, and thankful for the opportunity to connect with you, learn about your vision for your organization. Like I said, it's a not only it JustWorks has just really done a phenomenal job helping small businesses, and so to kind of get this perspective from you is really really wonderful. So I appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing those things. Um,
We've done it. Thanks, Ryan.
yeah, absolutely. Anything to leave us with? Any thoughts? Anything that you think that the listeners of the PEO Speedwagon should know about John in particular? I'm going to dial it back right
Uh-oh.
to you. I was going to intentionally kind of mislead you there for a second.
Wow. Well, let's see. That I did not expect.
Yeah,
So, perhaps, what's the least boring thing I could say
the least boring. There we go.
about me? Despite appearances, I'm terrible at golf. I am terrible at golf. But I thoroughly enjoy going out and playing. So, if you're a customer, if you're a partner, if you want to
Mhm.
be one of the two,
Yep.
and you'd like me to join you on the links, I am more than happy. As long as nobody laughs.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I think everybody likes. I'm also this person. I'm terrible at golf, so like I think everybody likes having a bad player in their foursome. It kind
I'm
of
your guy. Am
yeah
am
yeah
I am I ever your guy? I will tell you, if my wife could putt, I
Mhm.
would quit this job and I would caddy for her on the LPGA tour
Oh
because
really?
she's like a metronome off of the tee, but, we gotta get her to putt, then I can retire.
You just, I mean, the season's upon you. The spring is gonna be out. You can hit the city golf courses. Yeah, that we would love to see. The next step on John's LinkedIn journey is tech, just works, professional caddy.
Caddy.
There
Caddy.
we go.
Later on, you can come up with a caddy name for me. I guess we all gotta have caddy names. So you
That's
come up
that's
with
right. It's like the name of your dog and your street. No, that's something else. Um, well, John, thank you so much for coming on, bud. This is so great, and really appreciate all the things you've shared. I think it's super powerful for people to hear this, particularly from someone not only of your experience outside of the World PEO, but the chair in which you sit today, and really appreciate it.
Wow, thanks for inviting me. Enjoyed it. I hope everybody got something out of this. You can always visit us at justworks.com and see those prices too.
That's right. Right on the homepage. Awesome, my friend. Talk soon.
Cheers. You be well. Bye, everybody.